I also have to keep an eye on things. So the NA qualifier is a little bit different to the others, where NA has a lot of spots, mate. 4 players qualify today, and there's only a single bracket. Like, there's no lower bracket, there's no losers bracket, which is insane, by the way. So kind of a one and done deal. So players only need to make it to the semi-finals to qualify. But here we go, spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have the American Terran player representing himself, just taking down an Alpha X Protoss, but here he is against another. It is PureLegacy. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have the young blood himself. He is full of that youth juice, representing Team Exxon. It's the American Protoss. It is Ryan. Ryan has been competing for a very long time. I say very long time, for a couple of years now. A couple of years ago, his ID was Dr. Ryan, but last year he did change it. You know, he lost his doctorate. Unfortunately, he was caught for some malpractice there. That malpractice was that he was underage. For those wondering, I believe Ryan, now known as Ryan, is 17 years old. Is very young in the NA scene. There are a couple of these young players who have popped up and they're doing really well. Last year it was really all about Ryan and PattyMac. I believe he's 18 now. You know, just started university this year, fun fact. So PattyMac and Ryan kind of rose up together. They were teammates for a long time. This year the big name is Trigger, the Canadian Protoss. So there's something about these NA Protosses. There's something in the water, and they're all doing really well, and they're all getting up to like 6k plus MMR on the North American server. They are looking to qualify today, but these are 2 big names facing each other. I would say that Ryan and PureLegacy are pretty comparable when it comes to skill level. So this is going to be a lot closer. Interesting. PureLegacy immediately going out on the map with his Reaper. He did not skip it. He didn't go straight for a Marine or anything like that. He wants to scout as much as possible to make sure there's no proxy coming his way, and I don't blame him. Ryan, mate, he's not afraid to proxy. There's no honor among these NA players, mate. Like, if he sees an opportunity, he will go for it. I've seen it many times, especially in PvP. But as we see, he is not doing any shenanigans at the moment. Ryan himself was also scouting. He was also making sure there wasn't any kind of weird proxy racks out on the map. In the end, both players kind of confirmed for the most part that there's nothing to be too concerned about. We had the probe go in, and we do see, once again, PureLegacy is going for this 3 racks. We saw him do it to great success in game number 1 of his last series, and now he's doing it again, or at least a variation of it. Very fast NG bay, very fast +1 timing. This is going to be, I imagine he's going to want to get stim alongside this. So again, this push, it's going to take a little bit to really get going, since he does have to wait for his upgrades, but when they do kick in, like, yo, the Marines and the Marauders is going to hit hard. It is so important that Ryan scouts this. At the moment, he has no idea. To be fair, he is chronoing out an observer. One observer out, the other one is on the way, and he needs to get into the main base. He needs to get into the production and scout this so he can prepare. He can throw down shield batteries. He can focus on some gateway units. At the moment, he's trying to deny scouting, and it looks like he will, just barely. PureLegacy will not see the robotic space, so he doesn't know that Ryan is trying to go for fast Colossus, or at least I imagine this is a fast Colossus build. Meanwhile, the observer does dive in, and it looks like Ryan does bypass the Marines and will spot all 3 of the racks. Is beautiful. Even sees the tech lab researching, so he knows what's coming his way. He doesn't know about the NG bay, which could throw him off a little bit, but I mean, he knows the majority of what's happening and could even deduce that there is an NG bay. So we'll see what the response is going to be. We already have 1 shield battery in the natural. Looks like, yeah, he's going for a 3rd base, or at least setting up for a 3rd. Interesting. He's prioritizing a War Prism over a Colossus here, even though the robotics bay is already done. I'm a little bit concerned about him attempting to be aggressive. just because we see, you know, how many units are coming out here for PureLegacy, but at the same time, maybe he wants to keep PureLegacy at home. There it is. He's not just going for Colossus, he's also going for War Prism speed. He wants to drop some Colossus, mate. Bold move, bold move. So there are a lot of NA Protosses that do this. I say a lot, you know, Pili has done this, Nina does this, I'm sure Trigger does, because Trigger is influenced quite a bit by Nina and her play. So now we see Ryan also whipping this out. This is very cheeky, this can deal a lot of damage, but I'm also concerned because he's going to be moving out with his Colossus when the push is coming. Thankfully, he has an observer in the middle of the map. He does spot the push, sees all the Marines and the Marauders, and here comes Ryan with his Colossus, and he's just going to chip away at this. The micro is good enough. He avoids the Marines, forces a stim, gets a swipe, and now he can get another. Look at all that free damage, and there's no way PureLegacy can push up the ramp. He knows it. He dips in and just dips all the way out. Thankfully for PureLegacy, he knew that he couldn't break his opponent, so he didn't try to force it. He would have just lost everything, and he does keep the majority of his army alive, so that does mean that his next push is going to be a little bit stronger, just because he was able to keep, you know, the Marines and the Marauders safe from the Protoss. But this is scary. Ryan sees the Marines and the Marauders. He sees their position, sees them focusing on the rocks. Oh, nicely done there by PureLegacy. He sends out a scouting Marine just in case he was going to get flanked. He was about to get flanked, so PureLegacy, he just gets out of there. Oh god. And retreats back to his natural safely. Meanwhile, Ryan, he's got his third up, he's, you know, working on his probes, he's chronoing out them out as best as possible, he's working on his Colossus. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to be aggressive with his War Prism and his Colossus, you know, with those Colossus drop that he initially wanted to go for. But even though that's the case, he was able to defend, and he can always use it later on. As we do have a Disruptor on the way. Mate, he could even go for some Disruptor drops. Like, why not? He still hasn't really utilized that War Prism speed, but again, it did help him survive. That Colossus was key there, and part of me kind of hopes that maybe Reality is in the chat watching, because Reality, he struggled a little bit more against PureLegacy, and maybe he can get some ideas from Ryan. Speaking of ideas, here we go. PureLegacy is going for a drop. It immediately gets spotted by the observer, so Ryan should know that it's coming his way, mate. He's got his Stalkers in position. Doesn't have Blink. Ooh, so because he doesn't have Blink, he only pushes away the drop, doesn't commit to anything. PureLegacy doesn't commit, I should say. Meets up with the rest of his army, and now he could go for a massive push. He does scan, take out the observer that was in position in the middle of the map. For now, just taking out a couple of rocks. I love this. Again, a spotter Marine does get sent out, does go down. Confirms that there are 3 Colossus. He may have seen the Disruptor, but I'm not 100% certain on that. Meanwhile, Ryan with the scouting probe. Ooh, the probe just barely misses the drop. The drop does go into the main base. There are a couple of Stalkers here, but they are not enough to focus down those medevacs. Only one medevac goes down. The rest does get dropped. At the same time, we even have a small Marauder force looking to try and hit the third base. Ooh, the Colossus gets focused down by the Bio. They're going toe-to-toe, taking out. No, another Colossus. Oh my god. Ryan, please. The War Prism as well. Ryan, he's falling apart, and the Disruptor. The focus fire is so good here by PureLegacy. Oh my god, Ryan just sending everything to its death, and now this is too much. Things are starting to snowball. 2 Colossus, a Disruptor, and a War Prism, all essentially for free. And now PureLegacy, he wants to go in, but there are Colossus here. Doesn't even matter. GG gets called. And PureLegacy takes game number 1. Oh god, Ryan, I didn't get to see what his camera was looking at, unfortunately, but I do think that he was distracted, maybe looking elsewhere. Maybe at that moment he was making sure that, if you saw, he had 2 Colossus at his third. He knew that there was a multi-prong coming, so he wanted to make sure that his army was split up to defend against both pushes. Which I don't blame him, right? Makes sense. But maybe he looked over at the third a little bit too soon, or just at the wrong moment, and he didn't have eyes on the main attack, and... ah, god. things just fell apart there for Ryan, and that was a really nice timing by PureLegacy. It's also a little bit unfortunate because Ryan, he wanted to scout that drop. If you recall, just before that drop happened, he sent a probe out. He sent a probe to spot the army, and he just barely missed the drop. Oh god. As we are diving in to game number 2. Ay, ay, ay. Feels bad, man. That probe was just too late. If only it was like a second or two earlier. But here we go. We are diving into game number 2. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the American Terran. He's green. Representing himself, it is PureLegacy. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the American Protoss player. He is blue, representing Team Exxon. Currently down 0-1 in this best of 3. Mate, he's got to come back. It is Ryan. Oh boy. Meanwhile, shout out to Starduck in the chat, the Australian Protoss. Also here, I imagine cheering for his boys, specifically for Trigger. I did want to eventually cast Trigger today, but Trigger, he actually had a walkover in the first round. So to dive into a series, we did go for the second best option, going for Ryan, going for PureLegacy. Hopefully we do catch some Trigger later on, but the stars are going to have to align there. The Star Ducks will have to align, if you will. Oh boy. But here we go. So nothing too crazy happening at the moment. The two players are just scouting each other with their probes and SCVs. We don't have any proxy out on the map. We don't have any probes, just kind of like scouring either. No one even checked for proxies. So yeah, a bit more of a standard game. Also, did he? Okay. I thought, losing my mind there. But the probe is being annoying. It is trying to block this natural. We'll see if he gets the pylon up. No, that's forced away. Does force a little bit of lost mining time there with the SCV. They're actually going to repair each other. Interesting. And PureLegacy does get his expansion. Likewise, Ryan gets his. PureLegacy, once again, not skipping that Reaper, does send that Reaper out on the map. Or did go for it, you know, not going for a Marine first. Or Reactor first. And we'll see what PureLegacy has in store for us. Ooh, immediately switching things up here. This, for the first time today, he is not going for that 3 racks opener. He is going for the factory straight after that racks. So more of a 1-1-1. Meanwhile, the Reaper does make it into the main base. There's an Adept here, so the Adept should be able to push away that Reaper. The Reaper wasn't really able to scout much, but you know, he was able to see the cyber core earlier, and there's no tech whatsoever at the moment. So PureLegacy has all the information he needs, and we'll see where he goes from here. It looks like he should be going for a bit of a switch, should be going for a couple of Hellions. We'll see if he goes for a starport from here. When you do go for a starport, like, are we going to see a Widowmine drop? Are we going to see a Hellion drop? Are we going to see some Ravens, some Banshees? The world is PureLegacy's oyster. Huh, interesting. We have additional gateways being thrown down as well. Ryan is playing this a lot more safer. I think he may have been humbled a little bit in game number 1. Yeah, there we go, a second pylon as well. So yeah, much more conservative play coming out from Ryan compared to the first game. I think maybe he's respecting his opponent a little bit more. There we go, another shield battery being thrown down. So he is turtling up a little bit harder. I don't think this really indicates that he does intend to go for 2-base play. You know, he may just be going for a bit of a later expand. Meanwhile, we just see what that 1-1-1 was for. It wasn't a Banshee, wasn't a drop, it was for a Raven. You know, the Hellions and the Reaper are moving out on the map, and this is scary, right? There's a Reaper with these Hellions. The Reaper can knock this Stalker out of position, and then the Hellions can just run in. Oh god, this is terrifying, mate. Ryan, make sure reactions are on point. Oh god, throw down a pylon, throw down something. He does. Oh. Oh my god, they cancelled! No, Ryan! Oh, wait, was that a cancel? Yeah, it was. It was a kill. Sorry, my mistake. And the Hellions, they do dive in, and they will get some worker kills. Oh my god. I did not realize that 4 Hellions and a Reaper could focus down a shield battery like that. That was really solid decision making at the very last moment there by PureLegacy. Even though a building was thrown down behind the Stalker, he still focused that building down, killed it, and then knocked the Stalker out of the way. Was able to get some worker kills. I don't believe, he wasn't able to sneak into the main base, so he hasn't seen the Robo, he hasn't seen the Robotics Bay, so he doesn't know that another fast Colossus is going to be coming out. We'll see if Ryan commits to the War Prism speed like last time and tries to go for a bit of a drop. Yeah, we'll see. I was about to say I can't imagine so, because he's, you know, prioritizing an Observer instead of a War Prism, but I imagine he should be getting a War Prism regardless, as the Observer does move out. Observers even, but he has to be careful. PureLegacy, he's ready for the Observer. He has a Raven and a Viking. Oh god, F's in the chat for this. Oh, the Observer doesn't dive in. He's actually going around. We'll see if PureLegacy actually has eyes on it. He does not. The Observer will survive and will sneak into the main base. Meanwhile, Ryan, he's taking his own 3rd base. He does have a couple of units here in position. I mean, there's no aggression coming out from PureLegacy at all. The Observer does manage to sneak around and get in. At the same time, Ryan is going for the Colossus, but this time did not opt to go for War Prism speed. Instead, he's going for a Twilight Council, which I approve of. You know, much faster Blink, I imagine, which will be coming out. Maybe he'll skip Blink and go straight into Chargelots. Ooh, meanwhile, the Observer does get a very good eye at the production. He doesn't see the army, and he does not see this army move out either. To be fair, without Medivacs, it's going to be really difficult to pull anything off. Instead, he's just securing his position, making sure he can land his 3rd. But really nice movement with this Observer. Honestly, I'm impressed. He's been able to just bypass that Raven completely. Oh boy. Meanwhile, Ryan does have the power of both Xel'Naga towers just to be able to catch any kind of drop. Speaking of, the Raven does move out and it does get spotted by Ryan. We do see that he isn't going for that Blink. Charge is the priority. Oh my god, charge and all these gateways. Again, he saw the Raven and he confirms the Raven as well, the position at least. We should see a bit of a warp in. We should see some units. There we go. The Stalkers are being warped into the main base. So this Raven and potential auto turret harass shouldn't deal too much. PureLegacy also knows that he got scouted. Oh my god, another Observer. 2 Observers already. Oh god. Meanwhile, this Observer here in the middle of the map does scout the army, so does the Xel'Naga. So Ryan, he's aware of the army moving out. Will he be ready for it? He has 2 Colossus. Shield batteries are on the way. 2 shield batteries, actually. And this should be enough. I say that, but the Raven obviously can disable these Colossus, and then they're basically inert. They can't do anything. Oh, feedbacks though. Oh my god, beautifully done there by Ryan, focusing down that Raven, and now no disables whatsoever. Man, what a big brain play. Oh god, that was such a clutch move there by Ryan. If he didn't pull off that feedback, then it's possible he may have died here and now. Meanwhile, the Colossus are pushing on forward, easily just mowing down every single one of these Marines. He gets on top of the tanks, and he just decimates PureLegacy's army. Oh my god. There was no content. I feel like it is a hard call to make, but when PureLegacy got feedbacked, he should have left. Like, again, that was the real power behind his push, being able to get rid of those Colossus and take an engagement without them being a part of the fight. But after that feedback happened, like, mate, there was no way you were going to win that. There was no way you could just maintain your position And we saw that happen, right? We saw PureLegacy kind of crumble. Meanwhile, he does go for a bit of a drop. This time, wow, there is a Colossus. The Colossus is being microed. It will be saved. It will be microed back. So Ryan does defend his main. At the same time, he pushes forward at the third base and takes down this army as well. Ryan winning on both fronts here. I mean, the micro is pretty good here by PureLegacy, but again, he's just being forced away. Oh my god, this Colossus is a little bit exposed, but Ryan, he's on top of it. Got that War Prism. Does pick it up, does save it. And does PureLegacy have enough to defend? He has nothing at his third base. Like, his army is being active out on the map. He doesn't have any tanks. He doesn't have any Widow Mines. Like, there's no backbone. It's just Bio. Just Marine Marauder. Oh my god, the Vikings, they try to focus down the War Prism, but the Vikings get taken out, and now the main army is forced to engage. Ryan does pull back, and a couple of more Vikings are popping out, 4 at a time. Oh my god. And they're trying to get the Colossus. They do get the War Prism, but at the cost of their lives, and all 3 Colossus are still standing. GG gets called, and Ryan ties up the series. Oh boy. Ryan a lot more on point with his base defense. Maybe game 1, you know, he was just kind of shaking the rust off. He was slowly getting into the swing of things. Game 2, he did look much better there. And now we are going for that ace match. Meanwhile, exclamation mark B in the chat if you want to have a look at that bracket. As I look at it myself, I want to see if there have been any results, any big names being knocked out. Again, it's a single limb bracket, so it's a one and done deal. You mess up once and you are out of the qualifier. It looks like the winner of this series should move on to face StarKiller. StarKiller, a very old school player. He's been around for a very long time, kind of been an online tournament hero, especially in 2019. 2020 kind of fell off a little bit, and 2021 as well. We haven't seen as much from StarKiller, but he's still a very solid player. Of course, the next round will be a qualifying match. Meanwhile, in the round of 16, ooh, Riser is currently going up against BioWise. Ooh, a bit of an unfortunate seeding match there. 2 very big names. Riser, of course, the NA Protoss. BioWise, the Canadian Zerg. What else? Volt's going up against Holden. Eurysseus going up against I Love Oof. But here we go. We are ready to get into our ace match. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the North American Terran player. He's green, representing himself in the final game of this series. It is PureLegacy. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the American Protoss player. He's blue, representing Team Exxon, tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. Can he close it out here in the ace match? It is Ryan. I also realized that I should update the title. I apologize. Here we go. Boy, so Ryan is moving out across the map with his probe, not really scouting for any proxies, just sending it. Meanwhile, PureLegacy as well, not going for any kind of SCV scout at the moment, just focusing on his own production. And I kind of want to say that whoever wins this series will qualify. This isn't a qualifying match. As a reminder, qualifying matches are best of 5s. And the next round, oh my god. As Ryan throws down a cool cat in the face of PureLegacy. Very cool indeed. This is what I love about Ryan. He's a very cheeky player. Can be very cheeky. But yeah, again, the winner of this series goes up against StarKiller, and I kind of favor both of these guys over StarKiller, not going to lie. Maybe that's just because StarKiller has fallen off these past couple of years, and I see a lot more of these two than I do of Starkiller. But at the same time, Starkiller can be very unpredictable. He's a very aggressive and very cheesy player. So in a best of 5, it's definitely possible for Starkiller to come out on top there, especially if these guys aren't prepared for that kind of aggression. But I do want to give these guys a slight advantage. But we shall see when we get there. As at the moment, once again, PureLegacy is going for more of a 1-1-1, going for that factory, no more additional Raxes. He doesn't want to risk that sort of thing. And Ryan just going for his expansion. Reaper does get in. We'll see if he manages to get a probe kill. Does chip away at one of them. Maybe he'll come back for it later. Meanwhile, the Adept is attempting to hunt it down. Ooh, nice KDA charge. And the Reaper, mate, he wants that probe. He wants it. It focuses on the wrong probe a little bit. Either way, he wouldn't have killed it. Just gets a couple of shots off and does escape. For now. Spoke too soon, mate. Reaper does go down. And Ryan going for a very fast Twilight Council. Much faster than any other game. Are we going to see a Dark Shrine? Or is he going to commit to... okay, he gets a blink. Never mind. I was hoping he would be cheeky. Unfortunately, he didn't have any kind of probe out on the map or pylon. So opts not to be cheeky. Instead, he's just going for blink. Makes sense. Makes sense. So it is going to be a blink opener here from Ryan. None of these robo openers. And on a map like Oxide, honestly, it makes sense, right? You can utilize this map to your advantage quite well with your blink stalkers. You can blink into the main base. You can take down, tanks if they aren't in position. Meanwhile, we do see that PureLegacy is also deciding to switch things up here for the first time as well, going for a Widowmine drop. Oh boy, so we'll see how good the reaction time is going to be for Ryan. Be able to pull away the probes, maybe scout the drop as it comes in, defend and shut it down with Blink Stalkers. Again, Blink Stalkers can do very well defensively as well as offensively. That's why this is such a common opening in this matchup. There we go. The drop is going across the map. Just 2 Widowmines, not 4 or 3. So only 2 for now. Ooh, it does avoid the Stalker. The Stalker patrolling, trying to catch any kind of drop, but just barely in the wrong position. And PureLegacy is going into the main base unscouted. Ryan, he does have his units in position here in the main base, even warps in an additional Stalker just in case. He's waiting for that drop, and it looks like he just barely will get it. Focuses down the Medevac. Medevac's still barely alive. Widowmines do borrow. One Stalker goes down, and ooh, unborrows the Widowmine and picks it. This is scary. No, please! Oh god! Ay. That Medevac is like 1 shot away. I kind of think it was worth just leaving the Widowmine for like a probe, because now you risk the chance of just not getting any damage at all. All Ryan has to do, don't all army hotkey and just leave these 2 guys on hold position. just leave them here and they will take down the Medevac and the Widowmine. Oh boy. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Ryan did go for a hallucinated scout. So Ryan just quickly checking his vision. He did scout the opener. He did see everything there was to see, to be honest. I believe he also scouted the Raven, as the Raven was in the main base at the time. So he has a decent idea of what's coming his way. I mean, Navid more so. as the Observer does run into its death. And honestly, that's important for PureLegacy because killing that Observer means that there is no high ground vision, so these Stalkers can't blink into the main base. They can't be anywhere near as aggressive as they would have liked to be. Meanwhile, Ryan is throwing down additional gateways. He does have a Robo, still does not have a Warp Prism, I believe. Yeah, still no Warp Prism, so he's not looking to be aggressive. Instead, he gets a 3rd base, he's probing up. His economy is really starting to skyrocket, and he's getting away with it right now. Like, PureLegacy has to do something soon here. He's still waiting for his Medevacs, as his 2 Medevacs are finally going to pop out. And with these Medevacs, I imagine he's going to push out across the map, but he needs to do something. He needs to do something to the economy of Ryan. Oh my god. Blinks a little bit late there, does lose 1 Stalker, but he scouts that the army is moving out. Confirms. Oh god, the move command. Oh god. Another handful of Stalkers get focused down. He does get some damage down on the Raven, which is important, but the Raven is still alive, still has plenty of energy. And now what are the defenses looking like? We do have a second shield battery going up. We do have a first. Oh my god, the Raven! Oh god, the Raven somehow survived, did get the anti-armor missile, threw down an auto turret. The auto turret did get dealt with. The force fields are pretty good, so he does kind of block out the majority of PureLegacy's army. But PureLegacy does siege up. He still has plenty of bio here. The force fields do run out. No overcharge. Oh god, does Ryan have enough? There we go, overcharge finally being used, but the shield battery just gets focused down by the Marauders. But all the Marines were just barely taken out by the Zealots and the Stalkers, and it looks like Ryan will hold. At the same time, the medevac tried to dive in, but these two Stalkers were here patrolling, so they did take out the medevac and the Widowmine. Feels bad, man. Thankfully for PureLegacy, he kept the tank alive, and now he's just rallying. He's reinforcing this position, the position that he does have because the tank was able to stand strong. And I'm worried right now because Ryan doesn't have any AoE. He doesn't have any Colossus or Disruptors. Oh god, this is getting a little bit dicey here as PureLegacy stims on forward. There are some decent force fields. There we go. Last force field. I think there's enough energy for one more, but the army is just getting on top of the Protoss, and the Immortal gets focused down by the Marauders. God. Unfortunately, for PureLegacy, he only has one tank, so he can't really leapfrog forward. So Ryan, he's just barely holding on by the skin of his teeth. Oh god, but there's just so much fire. Once again, he dives on top of the Immortal, and he gets it. But the Zealots do push away the army. Does get some damage on that tank, but still isn't able to take it out. But again, a lot of the momentum has kind of been taken away from this push. PureLegacy just doesn't have enough, but he's not stopping. He is undeterred. He wants to keep this push going, wants to win the game. What I'm worried about, Dark Shrine just finished, by the way. Dark Shrine did finish up. Here it is in the main base, so DTs will be coming into play. And if PureLegacy doesn't have enough scans, then he could be in a lot of trouble. Once again, he does stim on forward, does have a couple of Liberators, but you know what? The Liberators are not in position to really help out this army. He does take out the Immortal, and now he's focusing down the sentries. Oh my god, can he do it? Can he break this out? Like, the shield battery wasn't really in range. Finally it is of the sentry, but the sentry goes down, the Stalkers are going down. Finally, the Liberators do siege up to help out, and GG gets called. PureLegacy was able to finally break the Protoss. And PureLegacy takes down Ryan and moves on to a qualifying match. Wow. Oh god, like, if only Ryan just barely had enough, if he barely had a little bit more to get on top of that tank. If that tank went down, he would have had such an easier time holding. PureLegacy wasn't even necessarily all in. He had a third base behind this. Like, he was getting fully saturated on 3 bases. Ryan, he teched into a Dark Shrine. I don't believe he warped in DTs, not defensively at least, and that would have been huge. I didn't really get an eye on the energy on the bases, but maybe it's possible that, you know, he would have been paying attention. Maybe he didn't have enough energy for scan. If he did, you know, waste one scan, then make him waste another, hope that he runs out and then he's forced to back off. Regardless, GG, well played. Ryan, he did take it to the ace match, but unfortunately, this is where his run ends. And PureLegacy comes out on top and advances on to that quarterfinals match.